Tonight, I'm going to prove to you that the country is clearly and indisputably liberal. Now, here are the people that don't get it. Everyone in Washington who insists that the country is center-right when it is no such thing. And Republicans. Exhibit A is House Speaker John Boehner. The Wall Street Journal explained today, quote, House Speaker John Boehner says he's determined to offer a budget this spring that curbs Social Security and Medicare despite the political risks, and that Republicans will try to persuade voters that sacrifices are needed. Boehner wants to cut Social Security and Medicare. Now, how many times do we have to go through this? People don't want to cut Social Security. Look at the polls. They want you to cut the deficit by raising taxes on the rich. That's not me. That's the American people. The polls couldn't be clearer. But wait till you get a load of this latest poll. The Program for Public Consultation, part of the University of Maryland School of Public Policy, decided to do something really different and revolutionary. They said to the voters, you do it. You do the federal budget. After all, it's just basic math. The amount of money the government spends versus the amount of money that the government takes in. Do you know what the pollsters discovered? Americans did a way better job at reducing the deficit than the politicians did. Guess what else they found? Americans are totally liberal. Now, they might not identify as liberals, and they might even identify themselves as Republicans, but most Americans are united in what they value. Now, let me give you the numbers and the examples. These are the things that they said should be increased. Increase in spending in pollution control at 17%, 18% increase in humanitarian assistance. Then the numbers get really big. A 92% increase in higher education, 110% increase in renewable energy, and 130% increase in job training programs. Look, the American people want us to make an investment in jobs. It's obvious. But they also want cuts. And where do they cut? Well, defense spending. 26% cut from the military operations in Iraq and Afghanistan. 18% cut from weapons purchases, and 15% cut military aid to other countries. What's the total? The American people cut spending by more than $145 billion. Now, that's excellent work. The Republican budget slashers can only dream of a number that big. But Americans didn't say mission accomplished. They, unlike the Republicans in Congress, are actually serious about deficit reduction. So they aren't happy to just cut spending, they also raise taxes. 65% raised corporate taxes and 75% raised income taxes. And not just on the super rich. A majority of people raise taxes at least a little bit on people making over $100,000 a year. The American people actually believe in shared sacrifice. So here's the bottom line. When the American people did the budget, they cut spending by more than $145 billion, and they increased revenues by more than $291 billion. So the total deficit reduction was a whopping $437 billion. Nicely done. Now, if all of that was not clear enough for you, I'm going to give you one more poll. Because look, the whole country's like, oh, no, you don't understand. It's center-right. No, it's not. Look at the NBC News Wall Street Journal poll. These are the things that they said are acceptable. The top scorers, number one, they said ending tax breaks, 81%, eliminate earmarks, cut defense funding, end big oil tax cuts, and end tax breaks for people making over $250,000. Those are the things they find acceptable. Are you ready for what they find unacceptable? Coming in at number five actually, is cutting unemployment benefits. And then this is in order of priority. Cutting Head Start, cutting student loans. They don't want any of this. Cutting heating assistance to the poor, cutting Medicaid, cutting Medicare, cutting education, cutting Social Security. They're saying, don't do it. Those are the things we don't want cut. And those are exactly progressive priorities. Absolutely in line, all the polls that you look at. So now you know that's the reality. The country is progressive. The country is liberal. The only place that isn't is Washington, D.C.